Welcome to the Ben and Walker Movie Show. I'm your co host, Ben Davis, joined by my other co host, Walker Holt, and we are excited to have a conversation with you. One of our favorite things in the world. Uh, this is your first time being here with us. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. And while you're here, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the latest content we have for you. And if you enjoy your time with us, leave us a like, share us around, and of course, comment down below with your thoughts on today's show to let us know just how awesome we both truly are. And jolly, for that matter. This is our Christmas special deep dive where, just like any other deep dive, we pick a movie to discuss, usually a movie that is celebrating an anniversary of some kind, one that has a sequel, a prequel, a spinoff coming out, one that we want to discuss to celebrate an actor or a director, or one where we are celebrating a holiday like we are today, and just really dive in on that film and discuss, how we felt about it when we first saw it compared to now, the Rotten Tomatoes score, get into some fun facts, and then wrap up the show giving out our equivalent of the Oscars. In fact, some people say they're better than an Oscar. Our awards for best scenes, worst scenes, best performance. Does this make sense? Which is kind of like the plot hole award, and finally, MVP of the movie. Uh, what makes today's episode special is that not only are we celebrating Christmas, which is my personal favorite holiday, we are doing so by discussing a modern Christmas classic that is celebrating its 20th anniversary, Elf. But before we dive into all that, I must introduce my co host, my esteemed co host for that matter, Mr. Grinch himself. How are you doing today, sir?
Excellent. I'm great. I'm getting in the Christmas spirit. I'm excited. Starting to check some Christmas movies off the list. I like your shirt, by the way.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm
Awesome.
Buddy Elf. What's your favorite color?
Oh, no, things are good, man. It's December in North Carolina. I don't know where it is in the rest of the world, but it's Christmas time.
Yeah,
How
man.
you been?
I'm good, man. I love Christmas time. I love this time of year, especially growing up in North Carolina. It's not really winter until like after Christmas. Like it does that up and down thing, but here it's pretty freaking cold, and I'm loving it. There's something about the Midwestern uh, Christmas time. It feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas outside. It looks like Christmas outside. Um, Christmas hits different for me now as a dad. It is so magical getting to see Zoe on Christmas morning, seeing what Santa Claus brought her. It hits different as a parent, and it's truly a cool thing. I love Christmas. It's special.
I bet that is. I bet that is special. It does not. You're right. It does not feel weather-wise like Christmas. You see, I'm wearing my Christmas sweater with the boys on it. We got Bicey Boy, Boopy Lou. You might know him on LinkedIn as Vice President and Coop General. They Coop General of the toys,
That's awesome.
and I'm sweating my ass off. I mean, I'm wearing. I've got the fan on blast. I got the AC on. It's my commitment to show business, but it's it does not feel
Man.
like a white Christmas here.
It's so funny. You're wearing the sweater at 70 some degrees, and I'm wearing the short sleeve shirt, and it's like, you know, 30s and 40s.
This will probably only make it a little ways to
But
the show, but I'm
here's the
glad I
deal,
got to
man.
give a little shout out.
Here's the deal, man. Before we discuss, our favorite color with Buddy the Elf, in keeping with the Christmas spirit of today's show, what are some of your favorite like Christmas traditions if you have some?
Um, Gosh, so I just got married this year. I say that every episode. It feels like, but so this is my first Christmas as a married man, with my new family. Not that Jess hadn't been in the picture for the last couple of years, and we've celebrated Christmas together for years, but this year's been a little different. And we're actually hosting this year for the first time ever in my
How
life. I've
exciting is
always
that?
I feel like Clark. I mean, I'm I mean, I enjoy hosting regardless. I've always wanted to host a Christmas. I mean, my parents hosted very few Christmases in my life, like the extended family portion of it. You know, we would go somewhere else all the time. A couple times we did, and I always enjoyed it. And my in-laws, you know, are scattered all over the country. Jess's family and her whole family is coming to stay. We have a small house, so it's tough to we can't actually like put everybody up here, but we have that property downtown it's a duplex Airbnb, and then we just block that off, and they're gonna it just works out perfectly. They're gonna stay in that house, which is only a couple miles down the road, and come over here for the day and stay here for a few days after. We're very excited about it. Jess is extremely excited about it. But this is gonna be the first Christmas I've ever had, I think, not waking up at my parents' house.
How weird does that feel? Does it feel weird?
Yeah, but not as weird as I would think. I mean, it feels right, and it feels like the move. This feels like my new normal going forward in my new family. And Jess is. I'm fortunate in terms of like I live within 2 hours of where I've lived my entire life, and my parents live within 2 hours of where they live most of their lives, and so my family's always been a pretty short drive away, and it's always been easy. And Jess is, she's not a military kid, but it looks like it. I mean, she was born in Virginia and moved to Massachusetts, moved to Kansas, Oklahoma, North Carolina. Mom's California, dad's Georgia, they're all over the place, and so it's much less often that she gets the family Christmas that she grew up getting or in her childhood, and especially she doesn't get it without a flight somewhere, or most people can make it, but someone can't make it this year, whatever. So this year, everyone coming here is very important to her, and I'm really excited that she gets to enjoy that, and I get to enjoy it as well. So, yeah. I guess traditions. We're gonna make some new ones coming up soon. I mean, I think right now, I guess I'd say decorating. I like decorating. I try my best to keep it tasteful, keep it classy, but my heart, I want to go over.
You don't do anything weird with the deer. You don't position them in ways that probably aren't friendly to an HOA.
No. I do it like Cody's house and have him drinking out of the pond in the front yard.
Oh, nice.
I know he's gonna be listening. No, I don't. I just kidding. No, I try to keep it pretty tame and pretty classy, but I always want to add something. I always want to do a little more. I really love Christmas time, and I love Christmas decorations. I love just it uplifting my spirit. I love sitting in it every day. I think about it all the time. I've been watching a lot of movies and stuff lately, and I really just look at my tree a lot, just because I just stare at it, and like I'll get distracted in the movie. Like, God, it's a pretty tree. I'm excited.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I like to decorate for Christmas as well. Carly and I have a nice little setup where I'm in charge of. I decorate both, but I'm in charge of decorating Halloween. It's strictly whatever I want goes. Same thing for her. Whatever she wants goes for Christmas. She is the Christmas elf. She was literally an elf for Santa back in the day when she was, I think, in grad school, maybe. But she is the resident Christmas elf, and she goes all out for Christmas, and her decorations are awesome. This year, I lined the roof with color lights, which was a lot of fun, really cool. We have this giant blow-up Santa outside that currently is giving me headaches because it wants to go one way or the other because it's so top-heavy. Maybe I'm just not good at engineering it into the ground. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that might be what it is. We have a train outside. We have a penguin. We have the deer that kind of sit outside what we call our hobbit window, which is really cool. And then the coolest thing and this is my contribution, is on top of our tree, we don't have a star. We have Grogu. And he's
Oh,
reaching out
oh,
and he has the Christmas balls hanging down and he's like floating them and stuff.
how have you not sent me a picture of this yet?
I, I don't know, man. I'll send it to you.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. Zoe really loves it. She goes, Grogu, Grogu, hold it, hold it. I'm like, no, I can't hold that one, babe. Hold, please.
That's funny. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, but as far as like traditions go, you know, you wake up Christmas morning. I think, when I was a kid, it was so cool. My parents did a wonderful job for Christmas. They used to, well, I used to wake us up at around 5. I was always really, really excited, and we had a set of stairs um, that would go down, and you turn to the left, and that's where Santa would set up. And every year, someone had a different place where all their presents were. I always liked having the fireplace because it was right there. I just run a beeline straight to it. I liked having the fireplace, so I'd always tell Santa I want my stuff at the fireplace. But we would wake up around 5 and my dad would stretch it out as long as possible because I don't know if you remember Walker, but whenever like it's like when we wrestled and stuff, I don't know if you saw it, but like I would shake from adrenaline, whether if it was anger or happiness or excitement, something like that. I get the shakes. I get really, really excited, and it was really noticeable when I was a kid. And so every one of my siblings thought it was the funniest, and including my dad. And so they would stretch it out as possible to the point to where I was like vibrating like this going down the stairs. Like it was really funny. And looking back on it, I love watching those videos of us as a family when we were kids. And Christmas mornings were always special. Like during the day, though, that we would have to travel often to my grandparents that lived about 45 minutes away. But Christmas night was always special too. We would pick out a movie. It's often Christmas Vacation that we'd watch. I would try to always sneak in Jingle All the Way. Didn't always work, but either that or White Christmas. That we'd watch before we would all go to bed, and Dad would read us the birth of Jesus story, which was always really nice. But now, as an adult, a little different. Before Zoe, BZ, Carly and I would wake up and we would exchange. Well, the night before, we would exchange what we call Christmas jammies. And we would just wear our Christmas jammies, we go to sleep in them, we wake up in them, and that's what we would wear pretty much the whole rest of the day. And I would buy like a video game or something like that and play that the entire day. And we would just listen to Christmas music from Roger Whittaker, or which is Carly's favorite, or Celine Dion Christmas album, which is my favorite. And we would just sit around all day and eat pancakes and listen to Christmas music and enjoy each other's company and exchange presents. Now with Zoe, it's different. Last year, obviously, she's like 1, so she doesn't really necessarily fully understand what's going on. She kind of understands the concept, maybe. But last year, we got her one of those like one of those little like four. It's not. I forget the name of it of what those cars are, but Carly like painted it and designed it, and it looks really cute. And Zoe,
Cozy Coop?
yeah, Cozy Coop. Thank you. And Carly like designed it and had like a Zoe license plate on it.
Huh.
And I was pushing her around the house in it all day, and it was a wonderful day. And that's pretty much all I did was play with Zoe, still play my video game. Last year was an NHL video game that I bought. This year, not sure what game I'm going to buy, but I am going to enjoy spending time with Zoe, and it's getting more and more exciting the older she gets, even though she's not even 2 yet. But this Christmas, it's pretty exciting because she kind of is getting the hint of what's going on and everything, and it's just really exciting. So we don't really have traditions yet, but they're gonna get made outside of the Christmas jammies. And this year it's
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's gonna be Bluey Christmas jammies.
Huh. I hope we get some traditions going as a family. I mean, it's a great time of year, and everything you just said sounds very special. I mean, I love it. I get excited about the morning. I love presents. I'm a big. I actually take kind of the opposite approach. I don't open any presents until everyone else is done. And then when everyone else is done and sad, I've got like a stack of them ready to go. And I'm like, all right, now you can all watch me open them all. Every time I just wait and watch and then wait. But I mean,
So
the
you
older
just
I've gotten, good.
let that excitement build up.
Yeah, I hate to. I think when I was younger, I would just rip through them and then be
Yeah.
just done, and I would not, and then I'd be jealous of other people. Now I'm like, no, I want people to envy me. I, but the older I've gotten, the more and more I love giving presents too. I really like giving gifts. I'm one of those people that are like, you want your gift now? You want to go ahead and do your gifts now?
Yeah.
And I'm
I
really excited.
I feel that because, now that like we're adults, we can go out, we can get our stuff that if we want at any point in time. It's
Yeah,
different. Now it's like I'm just excited to give people things and to see their faces and to hopefully see a smile on their face, to be a moment for them on what is a good Christmas morning.
yeah. It's just a fun way to like show someone how you feel and how you care, and you just hope you get it right and express it the way you want. And um, I don't know. It's really nice. I get my presents really early too. I'm definitely done Christmas shopping. I'm like super into it. Like first of all, I'm very organized in this regard. I keep certain like lists and things, and I have plans for it every year, or ideas every year. Like I keep up with like ideas throughout the year of like things like that would make sense if I think of something, and usually by the time Black Friday rolls around, I'm just cleaning up like the last loose ends and stuff. But I just because I'm too excited about it.
Yeah.
But
It, you're a pretty organized individual, I
yeah,
must
it's a
say.
little. I'm a little OCD.
Very. I wasn't going to say it that way, but yeah. I
Yeah,
wish I were like that. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Christmas is it's a special holiday. But like I said earlier, we're here on this fine Christmas day for listening to us then to discuss a movie that I've seen more times than I care to remember, or can remember rather, including even seeing the play version at Playhouse Square in Cleveland, Elf, a film directed by Jon Favreau and starring Will Ferrell, James Caan, Zoe Deschanel, Mary Steinbergen, I think that's how you say it, Ed Asner, Bob Newhart, Daniel Tay, and Peter Dinklage. If you aren't familiar with Elf, maybe stop being such a Scrooge and go watch it. Just go watch it. But if it's been a while and you need a bit of a refresher, the plot synopsis reads like such according to Google. Buddy was accidentally transported to the North Pole as a toddler and raised to adulthood among Santa's elves. Unable to shake the feeling that he doesn't fit in, the adult Buddy travels to New York in full elf uniform in search of his real father. As it happens, this is Walter Hobbs, a cynical businessman. After a DNA test provides this, Walter reluctantly attempts to start a relationship with the childlike Buddy with increasingly chaotic results. Look, I've already mentioned it, but it's still really hard for me, Walker, to wrap my head around the fact that this film just became 20 years old this past November. I think it was November 7th to be exact. It doesn't feel like it should be that old. Yet this is a movie that is so familiar to me that it feels like I've always kind of known it. And I know it's an overused phrase, but this genuinely feels like it became an instant classic from the moment it was released in theaters, where it went on to earn an impressive $220 million on a budget of 33 million, and I think it became the seventh highest grossing film domestically that year and 20th worldwide. Not only that, but this is really the movie that launched Jon Favreau as a director. Yes, he had already made a movie called Made, reteaming him with his Swingers co-star Vince Vaughn, but this was his second film, and you just wouldn't know it just by looking at it. This was just a taste of what he could do behind the camera with things that had inspired him from his childhood. You know, it's all what he did, what he's been doing with Mandalorian. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that, you know, this film, along with Old School, is really responsible for launching the film career of the comedy voice, I think, of our generation. I don't, you know, I would think he's the constant, Will Ferrell. Yes, he was on SNL from '95 to 2002, and he had bit parts in things like Austin Powers. But films like, you know, A Night of the Roxbury and Superstar, they didn't really land that well. And I should probably mention Zoolander, but that was really more of like a Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson vehicle. In 2003, he stole the show in Old School, and he made a modern Christmas classic. And I think it's because of that one-two punch we got, you know, the comedy megastar, Will Ferrell. Elf really has a lot of legacy tied to it, Walker. But when was the first time that you saw it, and how does it compare to how you feel about it now?
Man, it would be, by the way, wardrobe change while he was talking. It was too hot, couldn't handle it. I'd have a hard time pinpointing when I saw it. Did not see it in theaters. I've definitely seen it, and I definitely seen it before the last couple years.
I know it
But
played at the
like,
Carmike.
did it?
Yeah, I know it played there.
You know, blows my mind. It's 20 years old, but I don't remember. I think I've seen it like on TV here and there, like, and I probably didn't see the whole thing through a bunch of times until I finally did see it through. Now I know every scene in this movie fairly well, but it was discovered like that. You know, like it wasn't something I ever sat down and was like, I'm going to watch Elf. It just kind of got pieced together over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last couple years, and it was always good. It was always fine, but
Sure.
it was never in the obvious rotation for me. And you know, last year my wife likes it a lot. Her family watches it. Last year I decided to intentionally watch it, and there was no surprises there in terms of what was in the movie, but it's an every year rotation movie now. I mean, I like
Yeah.
it a lot more now. I've watched it a lot more intently. I agree with you. It's an instant classic that I missed for 20 years or 18 years or something, but I like it a lot. I think it'll be in my family and my rotation every year to come. I think it should be. It's very funny. I mean, we'll get into the nitty gritty here soon, but my opinions have improved.
Now, as far as me, because you and I were kind of the same generation,
Mhm.
would you say that Will Ferrell is kind of like the comedy voice of our
You
generation in
absolutely
terms of movies?
maybe yeah. You absolutely can make that argument, and no one would call you wrong. I think probably yeah. I mean I'm you know I mean it kind of yeah
He's had a very
probably
long run. Because I mean, you look
probably. I
at the
mean
'90s; it's Jim Carrey from like
yeah.
'94 into like 2000, and then you run to like the Ben Stiller and his crew, which then blends over to Will Ferrell.
Yeah, yeah. The 2000s, the aughts, which I consider one of the best decades ever in comedy. I mean, that would be an interesting study to really. Maybe we can do that draft one day. Maybe we can pick it apart decade by decade.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
fun.
but top of my head, it's one of the best comedy decades ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, I think Will Ferrell's the man I think of in that decade for the most part. I mean, with and I may slip in a 2011 or 12 here and make a mistake, so don't attack me. But between like Step Brothers and Talladega Nights and Elf and Anchorman and I mean there's a bunch of just huge ones.
Yeah. I'm a big Talladega Nights fan. I'm a big Anchorman. You mentioned that one. I really like Blades of Glory. That movie's hilarious to
Yeah,
me.
it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Semi Pro is another one I find pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, he had a long the other guys. He had a
I'm a
he
big
it's
The Other Guys guy.
Peacock,
Sorry.
you gotta let me fly. Yeah, it's just his like tenure as the guy in comedy really has been a long time. You know,
Oh yeah.
usually it's like a couple years maybe, and then it kind of fizzles out. His has been pretty constant, you know,
Yeah. Comedy is
and
a very quickly
it is. It's
molding
always evolving.
animal. I mean, it evolves fat, and as the years go on, it evolves faster and faster and faster and faster. Like
Hmm.
things, I mean, when you have like social media playing into part of it, like what you laugh at. I mean, even what I'm laughing at in December is not the same stuff I was laughing at in June. You know what I mean?
No,
I could look at some content that I probably sent you on Instagram in June and be like, why'd I send that? That wasn't that funny. I mean, it moves so fast now, you know?
yeah, it's very fast. But it again, bringing it back to Elf, it all really started with the one-two punch of old school Elf, and much like you, the first time I saw this movie, it wasn't in theaters, but I distinctly remember getting this movie and the Chronicles of Riddick on DVD on the same day, I think in November the following year, and not really being at all into the idea of watching it. I think my mom just really wanted to get it because Bane, it's a Christmas movie. I'm sure you'll love it. And I was like, I don't know. And you know, I wasn't really in the idea of watching it because I thought it kind of looked lame.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have been more wrong, and I was the lame one. I found Elf to have just a direct line to my funny bone, and I would go on to quote it constantly leading up to Christmas that year, and it quickly shot up my list of holiday favorites, but it became a perennial classic at the Davis household. Watching it now, I'm just I'm blown away, like blown away by the magic of this film and how it beautifully captures that spirit of Christmas by channeling the inspirations from the Rankin and Bass animated classics like Rudolph, while also being its very own original idea that is packed with heart and humor that appeals to everyone. And it has, like what all comedies have, a great emotional core at the center of it. This one just happens to be about fathers and sons, and that always strikes a chord with me. This movie, it just feels timeless, man.
I mean, it does. I mean, and you said it was overused, but instant classic. I mean, Christmas is such a protective thing too. There's everyone's got a wall built around them on Jess and I laugh a lot about just traditions in general. And like, I was talking to people at work the other day, and I was like, no. They were like, are you gonna? Are you gonna? We do a huge Thanksgiving feast. I mentioned that on the show a couple weeks ago. Our plant is not. Someone at work was like, "Are you guys gonna try to top what you did on Thanksgiving or Christmas?" It's like, no. Jessica's family didn't do big Christmas. They do big Thanksgiving. Christmas is smaller, so that's obviously the way it's got to be. You know what I mean? So like everyone's protective of their traditions, and they want and like the way they grew up is what's right, and the movies they watch is what's right, and it's a tough like safe to crack. Like to get through that door is like a new Christmas movie is gonna be in the rotation. Not something I watched when I was 8 years old, and that's a tough barrier to get through, and I think Elf did almost unanimously. I mean, I think most people let it in. I mean, I feel like I was late to the party, but most people. I mean, I think it's part of it's a classic to them already.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean,
like
timeless is the right word.
the Rotten Tomato score on this is really high. It's like 86%.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a good movie. It's not. I mean, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a really really good movie. I think the consensus is a movie full of Yuletide cheer. Elf spirited is a spirited, good-natured family comedy, and it benefits greatly from Will Ferrell's funny and charming performance as one of Santa's biggest helpers. Obviously, I always ask the question, well, do you agree with the score? But yeah, this would be
Yeah,
pretty. This would be higher. I would say, this really ranks up there for me. Like it's in the 90s to mid 90s.
yeah. I mean, it's close to me. I mean, it's definitely in that must see world. I mean, I rewatched it this week, and I reviewed it on, I don't remember exactly what I gave it, but it's somewhere in that world of 83, 84, something like that. And I mean, it could change time to time watching it. I mean, it's definitely, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it at all.
I don't either.
It's a good, I mean, it's a good film, made me feel good. And it's especially fun to watch it in the Christmas spirit. It's Christmas movies are such a tough thing to review and score, because it's like, do you score them like for what they are? Do you score them as a film in general? You know what I mean? Like, how much would you enjoy it in June? I don't know. It's interesting, but no, regardless, it's a good film. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I think with Christmas movies, you got to judge. Well, just like any other movie, you got to judge it based off of what it's going for, and does it capture the spirit of Christmas? And I think this one certainly does. So yeah, I think that 86 is a little low even for me, but comedies are really hard to get that high, and for a comedy to be 86, that's impressive. Um, but let's get into some fun facts here, Walker. Director Jon Favreau used a remote control to trigger the Jack in the Box toys to get the startled reaction from Will Ferrell.
That's so funny. That's a funny scene.
Yeah, that scene is freaking hilarious. Just that thing. It's just, like that was I remember watching this as a kid, and that was the scene that got me.
Yeah, that I love when you hear stuff about this to get more genuine reactions. But also, I mean, I assume like they muted, you think, and they put the sound in post. So because they all sounded like they popped when they were supposed to, right? Like in terms of the
Yeah.
song. So he must have like had them like muted and like added the sound later. But Jack in the Box will scare you.
See, I never had a Jack in the Box as a kid because they creeped me out.
Yeah, my brother had one. They'll get you, and like they're very, like, you kind of like are timid doing it, and they'll pop and get you.
Yeah. Will Ferrell turned down $29 million to be in a sequel in late 2014.
I mean, wow, but good for him. That's,
I was about to say,
not happening a lot nowadays.
Yeah, good for him. What would you do with the sequel? I'm sure you could come up with a story idea for it to make it work, but it's already special as is. You don't really need a sequel, which granted, you don't really need any movie ever made, but I think
to be honest with you, though, I mean, I probably would have done it. I mean, obviously I would have done it for 29 million now, but like, even then, it's like there's so many out there that are like Christmas like, and like people are like, oh, they made a sequel to it. Like, people don't care, especially for a Christmas movie. Like, people don't care. And like, I feel like
it's like Zoolander. They made a sequel to that, and no one remembers it.
Yeah, and or they made 30 horrible sequels to Home Alone, and no one cares. Everyone just likes the original too. They just don't even. They just discount them, and you might as well get a discounted 29 million.
What other Home Alone
still
movie?
Good one.
What other Home? Yeah. There's only two. There's only two.
Right.
We don't need to talk about any other ones.
The ones where it's not two burglars, it's two terrorists breaking in that are going to nuke the planet or something. It's such a stupid.
Yeah, less said about that, the better. This the scene when Buddy eats different candies and pastries with the spaghetti noodles had to be shot twice because Will Ferrell vomited the first time. Yeah, we'll
I just
we'll
read
get
ahead on
into that
this.
later, I'm sure.
I just read ahead on it and I had to mute myself laughing just reading it. That's gross.
So nasty, so nasty. And then his like reaction is like, oh, like
Ooh. Yeah, and
yeah,
it's clearly. I tried to watch to see if maybe they like tried to do some movie magic where he didn't eat it, but he ate it.
yeah, yeah. This is pretty cool. Wanda Sykes was originally slated to play the Gimbel's manager, but backed out last minute. She was replaced by Faison Love, who insisted on still wearing the name tag made for Sykes, which is why the tag inexplicably says Wanda on it. And if you watch the movie, yeah, it's true. It says Wanda on it the entire movie. And I always liked when I was a kid, bugged me. I'm like, his name is Wanda? That's
It's
got to be
funny.
like an inside joke. And then turns out it's an inside joke.
That is funny. It's a great role, great performance. I
Yeah.
mean, Wanda Sykes would have been good too, but Faison Love crushed it.
Santa's got a brand new bag. That is my favorite, one of my favorite lines in the movie. Operation Santa's got a brand new bag. That's the best. Uh, on the final day of shooting in New York City, it was dress director Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell and a cameraman driving around the city looking for locations to shoot. They would jump out and ask pedestrians if they would be willing to be extras for some quick cash while Ferrell pandered around acting like Buddy, or they would let Ferrell surprise people and ask for their permission afterwards, like the man Buddy mistakes for Santa. Santa? Santa? Much of the montage when Buddy first arrives in New York City was filmed then, such as when he is getting his shoes shined and jumping between traffic.
Maybe
That is
it's a
hilarious.
maybe it's like an Inception thing going on or Mandela effect. I don't know the proper term for this, but watching it, maybe I've heard that before. I don't know, but watching it, I thought that. Like when I
There
watched it the
is
other day,
a.
I was like, it
You ever
seems
watch the
like
movies
authentic.
that made us?
No, is that Netflix?
That's on Netflix, and this is one of the episodes that they did, and they discuss. I think that's one of the things that they discuss on the show.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
So I've probably heard it before, but
wild.
so watching it, you could like it felt authentic. I mean, it felt like it didn't feel like they closed down, Times Square. They didn't feel like they closed down whatever avenue they're on in New York when he's like hopping the crosswalk. It felt closer to like a James Corden sketch, like where they stop traffic and shit in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
It felt more like that than it did a movie. So that was and that whole montage of him like getting to know New York.
yeah, it's great. To recreate the old charm and timelessness of the classic Christmas movies and uh, prevent the special effects from being dated or becoming dated, most of the shots with Will Ferrell, Bob Newhart, and Edward Eisner, Ed Eisner, in the workshop with the elves were done with a forced perspective rather than CGI, a technique New Line Cinema had already used with their Lord of the Rings movies. For the scene
Mm.
where Buddy rides a bicycle with Papa Elf, Ferrell is riding in front, and Newhart is standing on a platform several feet behind him to make him look smaller. Papa's hands on Buddy's shoulders are from a younger actor standing in front or standing out of sight behind Will Ferrell's back. A similar setup was used for the scene where Buddy sits on Papa's lap, but using a younger actor. And that younger actor, I believe, is Jon Favreau's son when he's a little kid.
Hmm. That was
But yeah, I
great.
remember
It looks awesome.
it looks awesome, and I remember this being the technique that they used in Lord of the Rings, which works tremendously.
Was it for the ring?
Do what?
Did they use this technique to shoot the ring to make the ring big, or what
No,
was?
no. So they used it because hobbits are different size
No,
from
okay.
everyone else, and that's how they did it. Like they're
Yeah, I
smaller.
read somewhere they did something weird about the ring to get detail. Maybe they used a huge ring. I think they used a
They
big.
used a huge ring in that one shot on top of the mountain where you see the ring in the snow. That's
Mhm.
what they used that for.
That must be what
Which
I'm
is a
thinking
forced
of.
perspective shot as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Um, yeah, great idea though. It looks good. It looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It's
New
perfectly
Line,
like jarring where it's supposed to look weird, like because it's a weird situation, but it looks realistically weird. You know what I mean?
it looks realistic.
Yeah.
New Line Cinema was pushing the makers to cast Katie Holmes as Jovi, but she declined. During casting, Zoe Deschanel was selected because she would also sing. Director Jon Favreau states on the audio commentary that much more music was added after he heard Deschanel's singing voice. Uh, he likes how quirky but dry she is in her performance. Something else that Will Ferrell was able to bounce off of for his performance, and I do think I prefer her much more to the idea of casting Katie Holmes. There's no disrespect to Katie Holmes. It's just that kind of polar opposites attract where he's so like positive and upbeat and she's kind of just monotone and like kind of shy and he's just so outward and she's quirky and I think it really balances out very very well as opposed to Katie Holmes. I don't think it would have worked because she strikes me as very like outward and everything like that in her performances.
Yeah, and less quirky. And I think the weirdness that Zoe Deschanel brings to it also makes it a little more. I mean, you have to kind of buy into that relationship anyway. I mean, like the fact that they are in a relation, whatever. It's kind. I mean, that's you're having to suspend a little belief there, where you're kind of like, all right. And I think her weirdness, her quirkiness, helps with that, and it makes it like, well, she's kind of a weirdo too. Like I mean, I don't mean that in a mean way, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's kind of like it's
Yeah,
like yeah, she
I could see that. Yeah, I could see those two getting together. Yeah, it fits. The script was written in 1993, optioned for a year by an independent company called Motion Picture Corporation of America, which wanted Chris Farley to play Buddy. In an interview on Elf, writer David Birnbaum stated that it would have been a completely different movie with Farley in the lead. So he decided to wait until MPCA's option ran out, and then he looked for another studio. The script ended up on the desk of John Berg, who was an executive at New Line Cinema, convinced his studio to buy the script. Producer Todd McCormickey. I should have. Yeah, I'm horrible with names. Uh, would later suggest Will Ferrell to be for the main part, although New Line was skeptical, as neither Birnbaum, Berg, nor Kamarniki. God, I'm so bad. I'm so sorry. Had ever made a movie. It didn't have much faith in the film. They still greenlit it and gave it a $30 million budget. Could you imagine Chris Farley as Elf? It's
I'm
completely.
trying
He's
to.
right. It's a completely different movie. I love Chris Farley. Really freaking funny. Really great physical comedy guy, physical performer. I think he would have had the same energy and the same kind of charm, but it wouldn't have been like Chris Farley is sweet, but he's also kind of crass. Will Ferrell in this movie is just sweet
He's innocent.
and innocent, yeah, and there's something that he brings to it that makes you buy into the absurdity of this movie at times. Yeah, I think it would have been a completely different movie. I love Chris Farley, but I think that was the right call. Will Ferrell's he makes this movie.
Yeah, I think that's completely correct. I imagine if that movie got made, it may be a classic. It may be a good movie. It'd be a different movie though. And I think the reasons are exactly what you just said. I love Chris Farley as well, but Will Ferrell's able to capture this innocence that and this like naivete that
Yeah.
really lends to the role that Chris Farley may be able to capture, but he didn't typically in roles, and it would have just been different. He probably wouldn't have tried. It probably would have just been a different kind of character, but with the movie being so good, it's hard. It's always hard to imagine successful good movies
With
going a
something
different way.
different. Yeah. In the early draft of the script, the other elves made fun of Buddy for being different and unable to work as fast as they could. John Favreau felt it better to keep the characters good spirited and optimistic, even though he's different from them. It explained why Buddy was doing all these good things in New York if he could, if he grew up in a world where everybody was so sweet, even when he's obviously screwing everything up and doesn't fit in at all. He's quoted as saying. I think that was the right choice. Plus, you want to like the elves. You don't want to dislike the elves.
Yeah, and
Why would?
you wanted just the I don't know what they're called, the species or whatever. You wanted it to feel like a jolly good Christmas species. You know, you want it to be.
Yeah,
I mean, if you also you wanted Will Ferrell Buddy to act how he saw fit to be an elf. You know, like I
yeah,
mean, you don't want him to. He's not the nice one, and all the elves are jerks.
yeah. Yeah, I thought that was. I think that's the right call. And the last fun fact we'll get here before we get to the awards is when John Favreau first read the script, it plays up the cops are chasing Buddy near the end of the film. Favreau didn't like this idea, so the Central Park Rangers, who Favreau compares to the Ring Wraiths, were invented to replace the New York City cops. The costumes were designed to reference Lord of the Rings, and the Rangers were always shot in silhouette to hide their real appearance. This is the second Lord of the Rings reference in this movie, given how they did the perspective shots, and also this. It's making me really want to watch Lord of the Rings, Walker. That's what this is doing. This is Elf is a gateway to Lord of the Rings.
Didn't you just watch it on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I can watch it again though. You can never have too much Lord of the Rings, just like you could never have too much Star Wars.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I mean, hard. That scene's interesting to me in general. I mean, it's kind of funny but it's one of the more eyebrow raising scenes to me in the movie.
Yeah,
But I guess it lands.
yeah, it lands. It's fine. It's fine. But I like the tip of the cap to Lord of the Rings. When who doesn't? You know. All right, guys. Now that we got that down and out of the way with all of our fun facts, let's move on to our awards section, and we're going to start off with best scenes and moments. Briefly mentioned it earlier, the Jack in the Box scene.
Glad to hear it was authentic. It was funny. I mean, watching it, you kind of want to jump with him every time. Every time he hits it, you're like, you just kind of want to like.
It's the lead up to it every time. It's so freaking funny, man.
Yeah, he's great at it.
Again, briefly talked about it earlier. Buddy arrives in New York. There's so many good bits here. You get the bit of him get a shoe shine, which is funny. Him going
Yeah.
into the world's greatest cup of coffee. You
Oh
did it!
yeah.
Congratulations.
It's great that they bring that back too later.
Yeah, the gross bit of him eating the gum.
Oh yeah, it's
So
just
it's so
I was
gross.
watching that. That looked so real too. I was
So
like, I was
gross.
just thinking, watching. I was like, they had to have like put like some sort of like cover over that or something to make that happen. There's no.
Yeah. But my favorite bit with this is him just walking by and grabbing the flyers. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So funny, dude. No one wants those. Everyone's trying to avoid someone giving him that, and he's like, "I'll take another."
He just keeps going back and forth. And then who didn't as a kid get in those like circle doors or whatever and like push it around and go in a circle? I know I certainly did.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Buddy goes to Gimbals. Like
Yeah, this is one of my yeah. I mean, this is high for me. I mean, I love the first of all, I love Faison Love's performance in there, and that once he gets to the top
mm-hmm.
floor, and I love the man, I love the like. All right, tomorrow we're gonna have Santa. Santa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Like, I know him. I know him. Yeah. The thing that sticks out to me is when he first gets into the store, the fruit spray.
Yeah.
It's so nasty. And again, who didn't do this after they saw Elf when they were my age when they saw Elf? The escalator.
Yeah, the escalator is like the most like the probably the scene that's in the most commercials is probably the easiest like recognizable scene of the movie.
A favorite is like he tries to get on, he like circles back. He doesn't know how to get on. So freaking funny, man.
That's funny.
Yeah, as someone who got dared multiple times to reenact this, did it multiple times. It's so freaking funny. The bathroom. These bathrooms are ginormous. Like, could you imagine if someone did that to you?
You seen this toilet? Yeah.
You're just mind your own business, taking a shit, and someone just leans over.
Probably happens all the time in New York. I mean, like his behavior is probably like not that far off a lot of people in New York.
I don't know. I've never been, so I can't comment. Imposter Santa.
No, you're not.
Yeah. You smell like beef and cheese. Santa doesn't smell like beef and cheese.
The only thing I don't like the you sit on a throne of lies. It reminds me of the Regal promo, which I hate.
Hey,
I can't watch Goonies again.
Stop doing it.
I know. It's
which
great.
Makes me so happy. Which is nice.
Yeah. Hey, you guys! Oh my god, I hate it.
I don't like it's not a man purse, it's a satchel.
Yeah.
Because
I don't like any of it.
Yeah, all of it's bad. But like,
you can't sell with us. I can requote the whole thing. I've seen so many. I only go to Regal pretty much.
Yeah. I'm happy they stopped doing it. But yeah. The you smell like beef and cheese, Santa doesn't smell like beef and cheese is something that I quote often, even when it's not Christmas time. The doctor's visit. Friggin' funny. The cotton balls.
Yeah.
Just eating the cotton ball. The doctor, that's John funny. Favreau, getting frustrated. Can you calm down the kid?
That is funny.
Was it the finger prick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he like, ow! Friggin' funny. Dad. Yeah. Okay. Did you ever do this as a kid? Like you would get scared or something like that, and you would go, "Dad."
Yeah, probably. I'm sure. Yeah.
I think I definitely did because this was the stuff. Or this is the scene that always made my dad laugh.
That's funny. I mean, Khan is just. He plays the straight man so well in this.
So
too.
good.
He juxtaposes him perfectly. I love like him. Like, what do you want? Like, he just thinks he's a lunatic. He's like,
and you like tickle fight. God, it's so freaking funny. We mentioned it already. We've quoted it like twice. Hi, I'm Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color? really
It's a
funny.
perfect. It's a perfect. We were watching it, and Jess said she's gonna start answering her phone at work like that for the season. I think. I mean, it's the perfect, most random. It's great. I wish I had when I answered phones more at work. Like when I got more phone calls at work, I wish I would do that. It's so
Always
funny.
like whenever someone calls me, I always have like a special like way I answer the phone. Or at least I
Really?
try to. Yeah.
That's funny.
Mailroom with Buddy.
Yeah, I
Freaking funny.
forgot about this scene before the other day watching it, and it is funny.
I'm 26 years old to have the
Yeah,
whole.
that's so fun. That would be the funniest line of the movie. The when he was just like, he's like, I'm 26 years old. It's like, oh my god, it's perfect.
My thing is this though, like when he drinks, how does he not know?
Yeah, that he's not drinking maple syrup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's funny. He gets drunk nonetheless. Date with Jovi. You know, like
Yeah, it's fun to
it's so
pull
it's
back a
so
bunch of the original jokes.
yeah. It's so sweet. It's so cute. It makes me smile every time it's on, and it's subtle. But I always love because like when he asks her out, he's like, you know, the code and like winks at her. And the look she gives the door before he walks away saying he's got a few ideas, she definitely was thinking something different, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's so subtle and played, and I've never really caught it until I just watched it now, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm picking up on something that I've never picked up on before, and maybe I'm completely wrong, maybe I'm completely off base, but that's what it felt like watching it this time.
Yeah, it was funny to call back all the jokes with the spinning door and the world's best cup of coffee and everything. That was done well.
Tastes just like a crappy cup of coffee. No, it's the best cup of coffee.
One of the scenes, I'm
Last
trying to think. Oh, no, go ahead. Actually, I'll bring it up later.
meeting Paul Finch. So
Yeah, I mean, that.
it's funny. He's an angry elf. The thing that I think makes it funny is it's not that he's knowingly making fun of a little person. He is just so innocent and naive that he doesn't know. And that's what makes it funny is the oh my gosh factor of this. Call me
Yeah,
call me elf one more time. You feeling big? He's an angry elf.
what I think makes it I mean, I agree with you, but what I think makes it funny, as well as the rest of the movies, what I said about Khan. I mean, the way Dinklage plays it, no one phones it in here. Every single
No.
person commits to their role, as outlandish and absurd as all the roles are, or all the scenarios are. They all just, whether they're the straight man or or Will Ferrell's bit. I mean, everyone committed to the role, and Peter Dinklage is one of those people, and the way they handled his role of him being, I guess, surprising you with his larger than life personality over the phone, and then seeing him in person, and then and him just committing to it makes it just feel hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's really funny. There is one funny bit to this that Kyle Gass does, and he's like, "Picture this: it's a tribe of asparagus children, and they're self conscious about the way their pee smells." And it's his like little thing that he does that like makes it freaking hilarious to me.
What did Andy Richter? I'm trying to think of what he was. It something about a tomato.
Yeah, tomato. No, they're too. They're
I'm
too.
trying to think of what was the pitch story, because I laughed pretty hard, and he was like, "All right, picture this: we got a family of tomatoes," and it was just perfectly.
They're too. What's he says they're too vulnerable, like kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Narrowing down best scenes and moments to 10 was really tough. We try to keep it at 10 here. Really, really tough. I didn't even mention bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad, which Jon Favreau does.
That's funny.
Bye, Mr. Norwell. Yeah, it's so many here, a bunch I'm not even naming. But out of all these, man, which one's your favorite?
Gosh. They really chain them together. I mean, it's funny scene after funny scene after funny scene. I mean, I think going to Gimbals for the first time, I think that's when the most iconic stuff happens for me. Just thing after thing after thing. And just kind of when it's positioned in the movie to it's still early, but you've already you've already like made up your mind like, okay, this is going to be a fun movie, and like we're loving it, and then it just takes a step up when they go into Gimbals, and then it's followed up by more fun. I mean, just kind of its positioning in the movie just makes it, you're like at your peak of, I'm already enjoying this and I know I've got a lot more to keep enjoying kind of feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And and I think just the most iconic things happen in there, and plus I'm including the Santa part of that, which is funny. It's Jess's favorite part too.
Yeah, it's great. I'm in agreement with you. You know, there's a lot to choose from here. I love the dad one is really funny. Meeting Paul Finch is good, obviously, but yeah, that takes the cake for me too. Worst scenes and moments. I only have one here. And really, you could probably put two because they kind of fall under the same category. It's just gross. Buddy eats his candy spaghetti. It's disgusting. And the scene where he eats the chewing gum. Really gross. Really gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they are gross. Let's pause. Yeah, it's gross. It's definitely gross. I mean, you could even argue though that like it's supposed to be gross, and like you could argue that it somebody might put it in their best scenes because it's funny and gross. You know what I mean? I mean, it's hard to watch, but honestly, what's Khan's wife's name? Is that the I can't remember the actress's name. She's Will Ferrell's mother,
Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah,
Emily.
So she's Will Ferrell's like mother figure in two different movies because she's in Step Brothers too.
Yeah.
She's the mom in this, but her eating the spaghetti was one of the funnier scenes in the movie. Like her reaction to it was perfect. I'm trying to think of what it reminded me of. Gosh, we reviewed it earlier this year. Something else that someone had this really subtle. I'll think of it later, but that was very funny. But yeah, it's gross. It's gross. I mean, there's not a lot of bad things to say about the movie. There's nothing really bad in it. I mean, I may say I may have added, and maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you could explain to me why I'm wrong, but I may have added the Central Park Rangers didn't do a lot for me. That felt kind of added and weird and extra, and not like. I mean, it was funny. It wasn't bad or anything like that. There's nothing bad about the movie, really. It just that part was just kind of like, okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
I think for me, it has to be the only thing I wrote down, which is him just eating the spaghetti. Because every time I watch it, I'm like,
gosh,
yeah, so nasty. Best performance. This is easy. Will Ferrell.
It is Will Ferrell. It should be shouted out though that I mean everybody in this movie commits to the role, and I mentioned Khan and Faison and who did I mention just a second ago? Yeah, Dinklage, but also Ed Asner. I mean, Ed Asner does a bang up job as Santa, and Bob Newhart crushes it. I think they all are big parts of the movie that make it. They all do a big part making it better.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, I agree. It's Will Ferrell.
Yeah. Very fast, very easy. Will Ferrell. Does
Oh,
this
sorry. It was Tropic Thunder when he licks the head. When he picks it up, like the gross reaction where he's like,
so nasty?
like it was very similar when she eats the spaghetti.
Yeah. Warm corn syrup. Mm.
Yuck.
Does this make sense, Award? Couple things here. What happened between Walter and Susan? There had to be some type of falling out,
Yeah.
and she gave the baby away for adoption, and then she died.
It's probably, I mean, he's on the naughty list. He's probably just an asshole.
I think that's what
Because they
happened. He was just
yeah,
he was just a jerk, and that's why she ended up probably leaving him. And
not wanting to
he
leave
has,
Buddy with him.
yeah, not wanting to leave Buddy with him, and he probably had some regrets about it. And she passed away after leaving him up for adoption. But I would have liked to have explored it a little bit more, but at the same time, it's like the movie doesn't really need it, and probably would have been a little too heavy for this movie anyway.
Yeah.
Why would that elf assume that Buddy's name was Buddy because it was on the diaper? Don't elves make diapers?
Oh yeah, I guess they do. I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer for you. That's
Yeah.
a good point.
Mm-hmm. Why was Jovi so casual about the whole singing in the shower thing?
I'm gonna chalk that up to she just thought he was odd. Like, I mean, odd in terms of like,
Well, like we see
like
him.
maybe he doesn't know what's going on.
I think he doesn't really, because he's pretty innocent. I've seen online that he's not as innocent as he says he is, because he takes a shower and you see it when he's trying to take a shower.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
You see that, but like he might not have known she was in the shower and was so like enchanted by her voice, and he's already so like whatever. And he was sitting on the opposite side too. And she was the one that peeked around the corner for him. It's all that he was in there. So I don't think he was. I think his intentions were pure, although it don't look good. The evidence is not looking good there for Buddy. But she was very chill about it all.
Yeah, my guess is she thinks he's just.
Odd.
My guess is she realizes. Well, not she doesn't realize he's an elf, but realizes he has no idea what the hell's going on. He's just a nut. Just as like, I mean, what am I gonna do? Get mad at him?
Yeah. Jovi agrees to go on a date with Buddy, but like they don't really specify like what time. He doesn't know where she lives, and she doesn't know where he lives. He doesn't know where she lives. How did this happen? Did they must have like communicated after that at some point to schedule this
Yeah,
all.
had to have been.
That's
Had to have been.
off screen. That's what happened. I can write that off.
His company directory.
Yeah. Why would they take any ideas from Finch's book? Couldn't they get sued for that? That's his property that he has.
Yeah, I guess probably he seems like the type that would sue too.
Yeah. Why didn't the cameraman pin up to catch Santa on TV?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Like, because they fly right past it. He could have just been like that, but nope.
It's funny. I'm not sure. Yep.
Out of all these, which makes the least amount of sense? I mean, the elf one, not knowing that a diaper's brand name is Buddy is a pretty good one. We kind of explained both things with Jovi.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably say. I mean, for my personally, I didn't mind this. It didn't bother me or anything. But I said it earlier about having to like buy into a few things. Probably one of the more difficult things to buy into, I think, was probably the Jovi character in general. Like, just the relationship happening. in general, like the relationship flourishing and them beginning a relationship. Because I mean, we wrote in here, why was Jovi so casual about the whole singing in the shower thing and then agreeing to date? But it's like, well, yeah, I mean, she was so casual, she agreed to go out with him after. I don't know. It just feels like if
Well,
either,
in the play that I saw at Playhouse Square in Cleveland, her backstory is much more fleshed out, and they give her much more to do in it, from what I remember. But and this, they don't really do that as much. And I guess it's one of those things: either you buy it or you don't. I kind of buy it.
yeah, I'm fine with it. I buy it. I mean, again, we're nitpicking. It's a good movie. But I think probably I'll probably say the shower thing, or add on to that, like if she was casual about the shower because she thought he was kind of you know odd, then why is she his girlfriend a minute later? I don't know. Like, it just kind of,
You got to know him.
I
Realizes that
yeah,
he's pretty innocent.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's my put.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the elf not knowing the brand name. You got to know that, man. Come on now. MVP of the movie. It's easy. It's Johnny Favs.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, it's shocking. I mean, I know Maid. You said Maid was already made, but it's a hard sentence to say.
Maid was already made. He was already kind of like a known actor at the time. He'd been in Friends. I remember him from The Replacements. He was in
Yeah,
Rudy. A couple other
yeah, he's
things.
definitely recognized Swingers,
Swingers,
and
obviously, which was like a big cult hit of the '90s.
but this is the first of many. Like, I mean, he's a household name now, just about. I mean, he's. I mean, especially for movie people or content
Yeah,
people. They.
I
I
mean,
mean,
when you
he's one of the. He's a top tier guy, and this kind of really got the ball rolling with elite stuff. I mean, Maid. I don't hate Maid or anything, but this is
yeah,
this. Everyone knows this movie.
I haven't seen Maid, but
I mean,
I
Swingers is better, but
yeah, Swingers is awesome. It's money. It's money. It's so money he doesn't even know. But no, I he did this, and then he did Zathura, which is essentially Jumanji in space with two brothers. And I remember watching it as a kid and really liking it, but I don't think it did very well. And then he comes out and he does Iron Man, and it's like, boom, here we go. This is a guy, and clearly he has shown that he is very capable. But behind the camera, he is one of those directors that pushes technology forward a lot and can do a lot with very little. Um, he is
yes.
a very talented filmmaker. He's a very talented actor. Um, love Johnny Favs. I think he's awesome, and that's why he's
There's a little scene in the movie that they're walking down New York Street and you can see one of the crew members like kind of walk out of a door and then hide, like oh god, I'm in the scene, and like try to turn his back. I don't know if you noticed it. Jess and I both noticed it. Actually, Jess noticed it and then called my attention to it. It was funny that we googled it, and
it's a real
that was
thing.
the scene earlier. Yeah, earlier when we were talking about maybe the date. I don't exactly remember when in the movie it was, but I was thinking it was daylight in the movie. They were walking and there's like this little like residence area where like you'd walk like down a step or something to like a side door, and Buddy was chasing someone down the street, and like this guy, I thought it was like a like a homeowner, like a random like civilian citizen, like walking out of their house and being like, "Oh God, what's going on?" and like having to like close back up. But I think it was a crew member. Really thought it was funny. That was earlier. I brought it up and I was like, I'll bring it up again later. I just didn't want to leave everyone hanging on that.
That's pretty cool, though. That's pretty cool. I love picking up on stuff like that in movies, especially when you do it like yourself without having to like
Mhm.
Google it or research it. Um, but at the end of the day, Walker, why would you recommend Elf?
It's it's a great Christmas movie, and there's a zillion Christmas movies. There's not a zillion great ones though.
No, there's
There,
not.
there's there, there's a handful of great ones, and when you can find something that's, and a lot of the great ones are from the 30s. It's kind of I mean, it's not quite as easy of what So when you can find a modern movie like this to slip into the every year rotation, take it. I mean, it's a good movie. It's light, it's charming, it's hilarious, it's touching in moments. I mean, there's moments that'll make your eyes well up. You'll laugh consistently throughout the whole movie. The whole family can watch it easily. I mean, it's just got what you need. I mean, it puts you in the right spirit for this time of year.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's one of those movies that the moment you see it, you're watching. We've already talked about it, but you're watching something that is you can tell it's going to be a classic. You can just tell it's going to be a classic, and that's what it became. This is one of those movies that it feels like everyone's seen at some point or another. It has lived on for years now, 20 years, which is still crazy. It's good for people of all ages. It's the type of movie that you can sit down, like my family did, night before Christmas, and pop this on and enjoy it as a family, enjoy each other's company, and it really brings the spirit of Christmas alive. And I think that's why I'd recommend this movie. It's a wonderful feel good movie. Yeah, that's why I'd recommend it, Walker.
Yeah, that's great. I think that does it for this year.
Yeah, man.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Look,
Hell of a year.
2023 has been a big one. It's been an honor to come on the show. The show's changed a lot this year. I appreciate you, Ben, for everything you've done, starting this thing, being gutsy, sticking with it for a long time. I appreciate the opportunity to come on. It's been a big year for me in terms. I got married, joined a podcast. This is a great creative outlet. It's a great way to flex muscles that I don't get to flex often. Thank you all the listeners very much for listening and sticking with us and taking this ride with us. We're hoping to make this show better and better and better, and hopefully 2024 is going to be a fantastic year.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate you coming on here and doing this with me weekly, man. It's really, really cool to sit down here on this podcast and do this with somebody I've looked up to since I was in 7th grade, when Dan Trell told me, "Hey, if you want to wrestle in high school, you should talk to this guy."
Well, I appreciate that. You were an honor you were a great guy to know back then. You were a great guy to coach. It was an honor doing it. I'm really glad we reconnected. You've been a good friend this year. It's been a lot of fun. I don't have a lot of people in my life that I can share my passion for movies with, and it's something. It's tough. I mean, it's nice to have that now. So
yeah, and I want to say just one thing before we go. Thank you to our audience. We've grown this year, not only with Walker coming on and this becoming our podcast. Our audience has grown, and we appreciate your constant support, your comments, even just likes, everything like that. No matter what it is, it means a lot to both of us and to the show. We want to continue to grow. We want to continue to make it the best we can, because we love talking movies, and it's really fun to put these things together, and really, really appreciate you guys for all that you do. It means a ton.
yeah, really does. Love it. Love all the engagement. Love everybody we talked to on our Instagram post about what they'd pick and what we'd pick. It's
fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, I've really enjoyed it. This wraps it up for 2023. We are taking next week off. We're going to kind of hit the drawing board and have a creative meeting instead, and think about what's on our horizon for 2024, and kind of have a little time off to spend with our families over the holidays. But I guess that does it for this week and this month and this year. But thank you all again so much for listening. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you for watching. If you're catching us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe for more movie talk each week. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of Elf. Is it in your rotation every year? But with that said, this has been Ben and Walker, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.